back to NWRumClub. This is Rum 360, where we look at specific bottles of interest of rum. Today's rum is from the UK, specifically Scotland. It's from the Sugar House Rum Company, and the bottle in question is called Tub Rum. So why am I interested in this bottle in particular? Well, the UK does actually have a rum scene. It has a number of distilleries up in Scotland. We've got some in Devon, Cornwall, we've got around England as well. And earlier this year I did a bit of a tour and tried as many as I could. Didn't get around to all of them, and the Sugar House one was one that stood out. So it caught my interest, and through the course of the year they've been introducing a few new rums into the UK. So that's one reason. Secondly, when I looked a bit more into it, Ross Bradley, who owns the company, is really into his experimentation. I think that's really cool. You know, seeing what you can do through the whole life cycle, whether it's the molasses, the yeasts, the fermentation, the distillation, the maturation, you know, whatever it is, there's science in all of it, and there's a real interest to experiment there. So you know what we're going to get is going to have some personality. I think the other thing is, you know, we're looking at these younger companies. This is a 3-year-old rum, which most people would turn their nose up at, but it's all about flavour, not age. And if this is packing good flavour in those few years, what have we got to hold for the next 5 to 10 to 15 years as they develop, experiment and age? So just something to keep an eye on, and something that I'm quite excited about. So what does Sugar House Rum have on offer? Well, the standard one is their Sugar House White Rum, pot distilled, and a range is around £30. For me, I've been going to this quite a lot over the course of the year, especially for a lot of my cocktails. My wife and I tried it neat. She just loved the smell of bananas and said, could we have that as our staple cocktail drink? I said, absolutely, no questions. Another one is the spice rum. I did buy a bottle of the spice rum, had a party, put it on my tiki bar. 45 minutes in, the whole bottle had gone. I underestimated how many people like spiced rum, so I can't tell you personally how good it was, but I had a lot of people coming up to me saying that was a very, very nice bottle of spiced rum. So it's in the range. I don't have it here, it went to the recycling. And then they have this, the spiced rum warning chili. It's scotch bonnet infused. Now this to me would be an absolute no-go, but again, it's something different, it's an experimentation. I thought I'd give it a go. I was surprisingly impressed with it. The rum flavour's still coming through, it definitely has a kick to it, and it was really good in a mojito. So you've got the white, the spiced infused with scotch bonnet, and then you have a limited edition 3-year-old, and it's the first aged rum that's come from Sugar House. So again, we're looking at that, and I think finally they are starting to look into bringing out an overproof, something like a Rare Nephew's Rum Fire type of rum in the coming, I'd say, weeks or early next year, but something to look out for. So what do we know about Sugar House Rum? They are based up in Scotland, in Glasgow. The owner is Ross Bradley. Originally the rum was being distilled in the Strathern distillery, and that recently moved to 2018. And so what's quite interesting about this was distilled in 2017, so that does mean it was distilled at the original distillery and at the pot stills there. What can I say around the bottle? So this is limited edition, but look how cool this is. I'm not being funny, I've had quite a lot of rums delivered this year, and this has looked the best so far. Like the presentation, the fact that it's got some personalised tasting notes in a wax sealed envelope. So this was done by Stephen James of Rum Diaries blog. You know, it's one of those ones that really put a smile on my face when it came. It got me excited. I don't think you can do this with too many, but it was very good. So let's have a look at the details in question, and a lot of it is on the bottle and in the notes. It is quite transparent. So this is a vintage from 2018. It's 56.4% ABV. UK bottle size is 70 centilitres. We know that is 3 years aged, but one of the interesting facts that came from it was that although it came out of the barrels in January 2021, it was actually left in a vat for 6 months just to let it settle. So that extra time has changed the flavour of the rum. So it was released in, I think, July earlier this year in 2021. Everything's continentally aged. It's up in Scotland, less than 2% angel shares. There's nothing added to these bottles. You know, I think in the scheme of when you have a whiskey, you know that a scotch is a scotch, right? It's not been messed with. And I think you say exactly the same for a Sugar House rum. It is exactly what it is. Nothing's added to it. The maturation is quite interesting because you may look at it and go, for a 3-year rum, how do you get these dark colours? And you know, in here we've got deep burgundy hues, but it really does look like something that's older than it is. And that goes down to the fact that, you know, Blood Tub, and it's in the name Blood Tub, is actually a small cask. It's 50 litres, and the wood that's been used is a virgin oak cask. So it just means that there's more contact with the wood. That the fact that it's virgin means that more of that flavour comes in and packs into the liquid sooner rather than later, which means after 3 years you can actually have something that takes, you know, other rums 8 or 9 years to produce. It does taste slightly different, we'll go through that, but just to give you an idea. It was limited to 61 bottles, so there's only so many bottles you're going to get out of a 50 litre cask. The price was £75, which, to be fair, with the fact of all of this stuff, seems more than reasonable. And I think I said earlier, it's pot distilled. So let's go to the tasting notes that were done by Stephen James. Like, that in itself looks quality, right? It's got a seal envelope, and on it we have a bit about the process itself. 3-year-old cask-aged pot still rum, double distilled in copper pot stills after a 2-week-long fermentation. So, okay, a bit more detail about it. Now it tells us about the colour, deep burgundy hues, which, as you can see, a really, really nice colour from a 3-year-old rum. Now when it comes down to the nose and what it smells like, this for me is where it's about flavour, not age. And I think in the whiskey world, when I was looking at the bimbers, I had this similar experience that goes, how can you get something that smells like that for only 3 years? But here we go. So on here, and it, you know, we've got spicy vanilla custard and butterscotch. Now the problem is with having tasting notes is that when you read it and then you smell it, you go, ah yes, spicy vanilla, definitely smell some custard and some butterscotch. But I think on top of that, some of the things that really came through for me were there's chocolate that has come through, we've got some tropical fruits, there is some spice, but more importantly, it's just very inviting. Like, I've had it here for about 15-20 minutes and I really want to go back and smell it. So onto the palate, we've got delicious oak, creme brulee, which develops into a powerful mixed spice. So let's give it a go. Now I'm definitely getting some of that spice early on. And when we look at this, the creme brulee, I'm getting some burnt sugar, and I can understand why that comes in. But again, I'm getting things like some cola, the chocolate still coming through, a hint of pepper, and a little bit of coffee, to be honest. But to be fair, you know, that again is something that doesn't taste like a 3-year-old rum. So happy days. The nose is really quite interesting, as we said before. The palate, as I say, it does have that spice. It is quite peppery, but there's just so much going on. I've got flavours dancing on my tongue here. And as for a finish, you know, I'm getting that chocolate coming through, some cocoa, some definitely the vanilla flowing through. I think let's see what else we've got here. We've got chocolate banana, milkshake finale. Yeah, like there's a lot going on, and I think that's really impressive. You know, what we're trying to get here is something that you remember, something that you like, something that you want to go back for, and this is creating that. What other information do we have? So that's the information from there. What can I say about it? You know, that's been a really interesting experience for me, and one that if I didn't know what it was and it was just put in front of me, I don't know if I would have ever picked Scotland as a distillery. I definitely wouldn't have picked 3 years, but I would have gone back and gone, could I have tried that again? It was tasty, it's really good. So what else is going on? You know, when I talked about the experimentation, you know, you've got Scotch bonnet rums, right? Who's putting stuff like that onto the market? But it's good. You know, we've got early aged rums such as this Blood Tub, which compete actually quite nicely in similar rums and much older age from different regions, and I think, you know, this is another one that was sent down. This for me was quite interesting. You know, it's a white rum, it is 75%, so we definitely don't want to be drinking at that level, but you know, it's got wild yeast in it. It was fermented from wild yeast, and my first thing was, you know, let's give it a go. I don't really drink rum that's at 75%, and I haven't actually tried it, but when I smelt it, I was there going, are you sure that's not from Jamaica, right? So I am going to enjoy this with a bit of tonic. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but that is my cup of tea. And really, it just builds on that experimentation piece, right? You know, how are we smelling funky rum, Jamaican-esque, from a Scottish distiller? Now, that is just punching flavour, well above what I was expecting. I'm quite interested to see what else is coming out of there. So, look, for me, what do I think about Sugar House? Well, I tried a lot of the UK distilleries. I had my wife's 40th the other week, and I did ask a favour and said to Ross, we really enjoyed your rum. Do you mind if I buy all of my back bar of rum from yourself? It's more cocktails than it was for sipping, and he sent down a shed load of bottles, which really made the party. The feedback was excellent. The surprise was the spiced rum. It just disappeared and I didn't get to try it. Another surprise was the Scotch bonnet, on the fact that it basically was really good, especially in a mojito. So yeah, we got some really good feedback from the 60 odd people that came around to our house. We're really enjoying it, but let's see what happens. Look at the experimentation, and let's see what the Sugar House rum brings in 2022 and onwards. You know, so thank you for watching. This is Rum 360. The bottle in question was the Sugar House Rum Blood Tub Rum, and I look forward to reviewing another bottle soon. Thank you, goodbye.